1950. The sky gets fire. This was the Cold War turning hot.
The sky above Korea in the early 1950s was no longer ruled by propellers. It belonged to jets, sleek, fast, and deadly machines that could outrun and outclimb anything that came before them. Among these new predators were two rivals born from opposite sides of the Iron Curtain: America's Grumman F-9F Panther and the Soviet-built Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-15. The war was young, but the technology was evolving at terrifying speed. The F-9F Panther, built by Grumman, was the pride of the United States Navy. A straight-wing jet that was sturdy and reliable, it was designed to operate from aircraft carriers rolling across the Pacific. It wasn't the fastest jet in the sky, but it was stable, heavily armed, and flown by well-trained naval aviators. On the other side was the MiG-15, a swept-wing interceptor that stunned Western pilots when it first appeared. It could climb faster, fly higher, and accelerate more aggressively than most American jets of the time. Armed with powerful cannons, it was built to destroy bombers in a single devastating pass. When these two aircraft met over Korea, it wasn't just another dogfight, it was the Cold War made visible. The first encounters were tense. American pilots quickly realized that the MiG-15 had the edge in raw speed and altitude. In vertical climbs, the MiG could simply power away. In high-altitude engagements, it felt like chasing a ghost disappearing into thin air. But war is never decided by numbers on paper alone. The F-9F Panther had strengths of its own. It was rugged and capable of absorbing damage while still bringing its pilot home safely. Its stability made it an excellent gun platform, especially in lower altitude fights. Most importantly, Navy pilots were trained to adapt. Instead of chasing MiGs into vertical climbs where they would lose their advantage, Panther pilots learned to fight smarter. They kept engagements lower, forced turning battles, and relied on teamwork and communication, elements that sometimes gave them the edge.
One of the most dramatic moments came in November 1950 when a Navy Panther pilot encountered MiG-15s in combat and managed to shoot one down, marking one of the earliest jet-versus-jet victories in history. It proved something critical: the MiG was not invincible. The skies over Korea soon became a deadly chessboard. MiG-15s often operated near the Yalu River, close to the Chinese border, where they had the advantage of nearby bases. Panther pilots, by contrast, flew long missions from aircraft carriers at sea, carefully managing fuel while staying alert for sudden attacks from above. Many MiG pilots were highly skilled, and some were secretly Soviet aviators. They favored high-speed diving attacks, striking quickly before climbing away beyond reach. But Panther pilots began to recognize patterns. They studied how MiGs entered fights, anticipated escape routes, and used coordinated formations to trap faster aircraft that underestimated them. While other American jets, such as the North American F-86 Sabre, would later gain fame for dominating MiG-15s, the F-9F Panther played a crucial early role in the conflict. It protected aircraft carriers, escorted strike missions, provided close air support to troops on the ground, and held its own in the emerging era of jet combat. It did not always fight with superior speed or altitude advantage, but it fought with discipline. By the end of the Korean War, it was clear that jet warfare had changed everything. Speed mattered more than ever. Aerodynamics evolved rapidly. Swept wings became standard, and engine technology advanced at breakneck pace. The Panther would eventually be outclassed by newer designs, yet its legacy remained significant. It demonstrated that training, tactics, and courage could compensate for technical disadvantages. The MiG-15 would go on to influence fighter design around the world, becoming one of the most produced jet fighters in history. Its performance shocked Western engineers and accelerated innovation across the aviation industry. Yet, over Korea, in those early years of jet combat, the outcome was never as simple as faster versus slower. It was about pilots making split-second decisions at 500 miles per hour, about nerves of steel at 30,000 feet, and about two emerging superpowers testing not just their machines, but their doctrines, training, and resolve. The F-9F Panther may not have eaten MiGs in the dramatic way bold headlines suggest, but it stood its ground against one of the most formidable early jet fighters ever built. In doing so, it helped shape the future of aerial warfare. Because in the thin air above Korea, the Cold War was anything but cold. It burned across the sky in streaks of silver and fire.